The member from Windsor West would come to order. New question. The member from Parry Sound, Muskoka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is for the Minister of Natural Resources and Forestry. As the Minister knows, the forestry sector directly employs 57,000 people, mostly in Northern Ontario. Forestry provides almost 1 in 5 jobs in the North. We have seen what happens when mills close. Communities become ghost towns. Speaker, the forestry sector in Northern Ontario breathed a sigh of relief when the minister announced she would delay the posting of the draft species at risk guidelines this summer. Will the minister commit here today to real consultations with northern communities, Indigenous communities and the forestry sector, and to share with those groups the government's socio-economic analysis before moving forward with the species at risk guidelines?
Thank you. Minister of Natural Resources and Forestry.
Thank you very much, Speaker, and I was delighted to meet with members of the OFIA and their members this morning. This is an important sector to the province of Ontario. Over $15.5 billion worth of economic activity provides good-paying direct and indirect jobs to 172,000 people across the country in over 260 communities. Our government has come alongside this industry to ensure that it's going to be thriving into the future. At the same time, I also know that Northern mayors, communities and First Nations leaders take their environmental stewardship and the protection of endangered species seriously. They live it and breathe it every day. We are continuing to work to find a solution that protects species at risk in their habitat, minimizes impacts on forest operations and wood supply, and continues to provide economic benefits to the people of Ontario. We continue to engage with all of our partners, our Indigenous communities, to find a path forward to ensure that we can protect species at risk. And
thank you. Supplementary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Back to the Minister. Northern Ontario is facing huge challenges in keeping and attracting working-age people, in part because the area is losing jobs. The Minister has the power to do something to help the people of Northern Ontario. The species at risk guidelines need to take into consideration not only the animals that live in the north, but the people, their lifestyles, and their ability to make a livelihood. This government claims to be worried about precarious employment, but your own policies are creating precarious employment in the north. One mill manager told me he has hunted and fished.
Stop the clock. Minister of Municipal Affairs, second time. Finish, please.
One mill manager told me he has hunted and fished in the area for more than 20 years and he's never seen a caribou or any sign of them, yet the ministry wants the forest managed for caribou that aren't there. And since moose and caribou don't live in the same habitat, creating caribou habitat would drive moose out of the area, moose that are part of the local way of life. Mr. Speaker, will the minister recognize today that people live in the north as well, and that they should be...
Be seated, please. Be seated, please. Thank you. Minister.
Thank you, Speaker. And we continue to engage with our industry partners, with First Nations, including the federal and provincial ministers of forestry across the province, not only to ensure that we can protect our caribou species, but also recover them. And it's in that recovery program that we are now taking a second look. We've put a pause on any further posting to ensure that we have the science right, that we continue to engage with all of our partners across Canada to make sure that we get this file right. But, you know, I don't take lessons from this minister, these oppositions. The opposition member. The Conservatives do not support forestry in Ontario. Our government has provided over $74 million this year to forest roads funding. Under the PCs, forest access roads were completely downloaded to the forest industry. The forest industry and sector was abandoned.